Marathon has the opportunity to change the extraction shooter genre forever. After the Battle Royale craze, everyone was so tired of that gameplay loop, and they were looking for something else. And we saw things like Rust pop off, we saw things like League of Legends get a huge bump, but most importantly, we saw extraction shooters take the world by storm somewhere around 2019, 2020. Now, half of that you could argue is because of COVID. Everyone was indoor playing video games, and that certainly got something to do with it. But mostly, it was a new genre that people were hungry for and that they were excited for. And it was something that offered an experience that no other game or genre or developer was able to do since then. Since Escape from Tarkov came out and changed the world as we know it, we've seen tons of extraction shooters hit the market, thrive, and then die. None of them being as big as EFT or having the same impact on the extraction shooter genre as Escape from Tarkov. Most importantly, no one has innovated or changed the genre since its inception. Everything is still pretty much the same as when Tarkov came out and changed everything. Now, I'm going to do a brief overview of the biggest extraction shooters. I'm going to explain what is good about them from my experience, and then we'll jump into some Marathon stuff and why I'm so excited for the release of Marathon. Escape from Tarkov, the granddaddy of extraction shooters, is amazing. It's probably one of, if not the greatest game we have today as human beings. It's completely unrivaled in gameplay, the depth of the items, how much content there is, maps, characters, story building, tasks, you name it. Tarkov has best in slot for literally everything. Now, Tarkov is not for everyone. It is extremely hardcore. That's almost what defines extraction shooters, or at least it's what it did in the beginning. It is so difficult and so hard because people aren't used to losing everything. Every move that you make in an extraction shooter matters more than any other game you've ever played. Escape from Tarkov was so popular, and it's had such an impact that we've seen AAA titles get completely changed and revert back to old school realistic shooters. We've watched Call of Duty get trad-wiped by Escape from Tarkov in real time. But for all of its greatness, it's missing something. It falls short in a few key aspects. In its combat, its netcode, and its competitive balance. There are at least 2 bears in here. Okay. The other big extraction shooter is Hunt Showdown. Now, Hunt Showdown is a game that I had my doubts about. I really never had any interest. I never touched it, even when it came out in 2018 all the way up to 2024. In 2024, I met a couple of friends who played the game, and I thought I'd give it a try, and I instantly fell in love. Now, I don't like cowboys. I don't like combat that's like low capacity mags, super fast time to kill. That's like not really my thing. And again, I instantly fell in love with Hunt Showdown. It is easily one of the greatest games of all time. It is in the top 10, there's no argument. It has fundamental art, lore, and enemy design that is rivaled only really by Escape from Tarkov. Its maps are another amazing thing about it that definitely don't get enough love. Those are some of the greatest parts of that game. Hunt Showdown has been the first time in years that I have looked at a game and then made an opinion, then I played it, and my opinion was changed. I play a lot of games, and normally I can make an opinion pretty easily from watching gameplay, and it's about the same as when I play it. It's pretty difficult for that to be changed. And Hunt Showdown's been the first time in a long time that really changed my opinion of the game. And it easily became one of my favorites because there's something magical about Hunt Showdown that, again, is really untouched by anyone else except for Escape from Tarkov. But even then, Escape from Tarkov's magic is its own, and Hunt Showdown, as well, falls short in a few key areas. And it's the same as Tarkov. Combat, netcode, and competitive balance. The next one that we're going to talk about is Arc Raiders. Now, Arc Raiders came out, and it's really taken everybody by storm. It's way bigger than anybody thought it was going to be, and it's way more successful than anyone thought it was going to be, despite 85% of the game being completely AI-generated and nothing really being a labor of love in that game. Now, Arc Raiders has something that the other big extraction shooters don't have. It's extremely casual. The game is very, very easy, it's not very difficult, and it's mostly gear-based, which allows you to have a much higher advantage in that game without having a higher skill level, which results in it being much, much more casual, and that's why it's so popular, and that's why so many people love it. But it, too, falls short in 3 huge aspects: combat, netcode, and competitive balance. Now, in the extraction shooter world, we don't have an extraction shooter that runs really well, is super balanced, like a Counter-Strike or a League of Legends balance. And we definitely don't have something that is super reliable. All of these extraction shooters have horrible issues. Devs are late to fix things, cheaters are a huge issue, and games don't run very well. And that just seems to be a common thing with extraction shooters because they're so hard to manage. Tarkov is a netcode mess with bugs so common, getting Tarkoved is a saying that exists. Arc Raiders, again, is 85% AI generated. It's not a labor of love. The result of that AI generation are these huge maps with infinite flaws, trees growing in concrete. We have doors that don't open. We have bugs that we can't fix. We can't balance our game because we didn't make it and we don't know how. Hunt Showdown has one of the most low IQ player bases I've ever met, and it's mostly because of the combat system. The game rewards a rat playstyle. Now, not that ratting is necessarily bad, but it enforces a playstyle where you're not interacting with the game, you're not growing your skill level, you're just hoping for a cheese kill. And that result is the combat is extremely toxic and very hard for new people to get into. I loved Halo Reach. I was a little kid, I thought it was amazing, I didn't really know anything, and I enjoyed playing the Halo games. I never played Destiny 1, never played Destiny 2. I never really had any interest after that because I kind of thought the magic was dead. Now later, as an adult, I kind of wandered back to Bungie, and I played through Pathways into Darkness, all of the Marathon games from the 90s, and then replaying all of the Halo games. I really can't express how much I respect Bungie for how old the studio is, for how accomplished the studio is. Their storytelling is absolutely phenomenal, and their games just kind of run better than anything that I've ever played, even going all the way back to the Marathon games in the 90s. They've kind of always been a step above everyone. And that's why it's such a shocker to me that Destiny 2 and Destiny 1 have been these huge controversial topics, and I didn't really understand. So I jumped in and I played a little bit of Destiny 2 a couple of months ago, and I couldn't play more than 15 hours. The game felt really cheesy and chunky to me, and I just couldn't bring myself to play more than about 15 hours of that game, and I kind of had no interest. As an adult, when I played through the Marathon games, I fell in love with that genre and that world, and when Bungie announced that they were making this new Marathon extraction shooter, I was so excited. I've been waiting for this for almost 6 years since they first announced it. Now, I'm pretty hardcore when it comes to video games, and I'm pretty harsh when it comes to video games. There have been tons of games that I have played and put hundreds and hundreds of hours into, and when the developers make a really terrible or horrible choice, especially in the competitive aspect, because that's what I lean toward, I have completely put games down. Most notably is Mordhau. I was all in on that. The TWK, actually, in my name, is from our clan way back then when we played, and we were really competitive there. Our record was 11-1. We were kind of all in with that game. But about a third through its life cycle, they made some really horrible changes to the competitive balance that basically killed the competitive gameplay. And we completely dropped it and walked away. I tend to have a very passionate love for video games. And when they do horrible things, I'm not the guy who's just going to keep buying loot box after loot box for the pay-to-win weapons. So with all that being said, I wasn't just going to give Marathon a free pass. And I have played the April playtest, and I've played in a few of the NDA playtests. And my opinion differs quite a bit from what you hear online, what you hear from other content creators about it. I thought the April playtest is almost identical to a bunch of the other NDA playtests. Outside of a few really stupid things that I hear from other content creators where they say it's visually complete, and I can show you clips of the game where they have seal around a bunch of the doors because the asset isn't finished. So that's just a blatant lie. But outside of certain things like that, gameplay is virtually the same. And the gameplay in April I thought was phenomenal. Most of my opinion here comes from that April playtest, in fact. I thought the game ran better than anything that I've ever seen. If Marathon can bring the Halo style of combat, that Bungie magic from the early 2000s, and it can collectivize it with amazing maps like Hunt Showdown and Escape from Tarkov, a huge economy, and if they can crank out content and new tasks, new enemies, new guns, if they can keep up with the content that we see these other extraction shooters drop, and they can keep the game balanced somewhat competitively, and if the game, most importantly, if we can have a netcode that runs properly and works, and then if they can keep even half as many cheaters out as what Battlestate Games does, Marathon is going to take this market by storm. I'm optimistic about Marathon because I want the next evolution of extraction shooters. I want the next evolution of first-person shooters. I want the next evolution of what we're going to have in video games, because we haven't had one for about 6 years now since Escape from Tarkov. I'm excited for the next big icebreaker titan that's going to come in and innovate everything and make everyone come up to a certain level of a standard that we look for in video games. And I think that Marathon, and more specifically, I think Bungie, can do that. So I'm excited for it, and I'm really hoping that everyone is able to just base it on their own opinions rather than what they think their content creators that they watch say or what they see on Twitter. And I'm really hoping that everyone can give it a fair chance and not just call it Art Raiders, a name that's definitely deserved. Marathon has an opportunity to take a seat on the throne of extraction shooters. It can become one of the kings of this genre if Bungie does it right. And that's why I'm so excited for it.